applies when you take refuge. But as I said, you can practice all these things without taking refuge, without being a Buddhist, but then you have to be careful if you have your own system that it doesn't clash. Yeah, that it doesn't contradict, because otherwise you create even more confusion. You cannot mix a creator God with karma. It's not possible. So don't even try. You know. Of course, there is also kind of, you know, in Judeo-Christian tradition is also like, how to say, actions, cause, effect, and positive actions, negative actions. But it's not exactly the same thing, because there a God or a Jesus, he can still kind of pull you out of there, whereas in Buddhism you'll have to do it yourself. So in general, because we will do again just the silent meditation, but before I talked about this yesterday already a bit, so before you start that, you kind of prepare the mind a bit. Yeah? So it's going for refuge and bodhicitta, which is on page 10 or on page, maybe, I don't know, in Hebrew. Oh, it's on page 10, all of it. So just doing that, of course, you know, all of this, it's not, I don't know how they called it. I know that, yeah, okay, so it doesn't say prayer book, okay? When we started to make it, I was very clear, this is not a prayer book, this is a practice book. It shows you how to practice, it shows you what to do with your mind. It's not prayers that you say, oh Buddha, please come and save me. You can do that, you know, I also sometimes do that, that's okay, because but being very well aware that I need inspiration, because otherwise I'm too weak to do the thing, but I still have to do it myself. So I'm asking for support, I'm asking for help, maybe I'm asking for wisdom sometimes. And I don't do it often enough, unfortunately, because I forget also. Yeah, this whole thing, you have to do it by yourself. But also there's the Buddhas who have practiced over, you know, lifetimes and lifetimes and lifetimes in order to have this ability to be able to assist us, to be able to help us. So at one point also I was really desperate, because we were doing Nunes. Nunes is a kind of a strict practice where you recite a lot and you sing also there. And and also you fast, and it's like Yom Kippur, you don't drink, you don't eat, you make lots of prostrations. It's quite hard. So I had this young man next to me who was a very enthusiastic singer, but he sang totally out of tune. Now I could deal with it, but now I kind of got used to it, and because now I give people the permission to sing loud, even if they're out of tune. That was pretty much at the beginning of my career as a nun, and I had to lead the practices, and I got so tight about his loud singing wrong that I got really tight. I got lung. When you have all the energy that is coming up here. So I couldn't recite anymore. So in the break, I went to my room and said, look, Buddha, now I don't know what to do. I can't tell him to stop singing, because he's so happy. How can I tell him to stop singing? Next session, somebody came who was sitting like at the end somewhere, and she said, it was the time of the tape recorders, you know, these. She said, look, I would really like to kind of record the tunes. This is my tape recorder. So I said, spontaneously, without thinking, I said, yeah, but I can't, you know, dodge a bell, off, on. I said, then you have to come and sit next to me so that you do it. And what happened, she had to sit next to me, and then this young man went to sit at her place, which was at the end of the row, so nobody got hurt. It was a manipulation, it just happened. Did the Buddha arrange that? I don't know. But I tell you, I was pretty happy that it was like this. So sometimes I also forget, because I think voicing where we need help, it shows us which way we want to go. Yeah, when we say, look, this, and this, and this, because then I was very clear, I don't want to hurt his feelings. Yeah, and I have to just deal with it if he stays here. And I say, I can't. So like this. Because the mind of a fully awakened being is always there. Even though Buddha is not a god, and even though the Buddha was a human being just like us, but because of these incredible practices, they have attained abilities, they have attained a rainbow body, for example, that as a normal human being we cannot conceive and we cannot understand. Yeah. So that's why sometimes in the sutras, when you read the sutras where it says the qualities of a Buddha are totally unconceivable for us at the moment, because it is only a Buddha who can recognize a Buddha. It is as a Buddha. We see them according to our karma. You know, like if you look at the Dalai Lama, the Tibetans, they have trained that he is a Buddha since very small. So when they see him, you can see it on their faces, and the way they bow, and the way they so really full of devotion and very humble, they see the Buddha. We Westerners, we see a very jolly person, a good teacher, funny, intelligent, very down to earth, very practical. We do have respect, but definitely not the same amount of respect as the Tibetans. A Tibetan would never stand straight next to the Dalai Lama and talk into his face like we would. You know, you see Westerners, they even kind of tap him on the shoulder. He loves it. He doesn't want this distance that the Tibetans make. But a Tibetan would, out of habit, you know, he would never do something of what we do, like talking to him directly, or, you know, they would talk like this and that. So it's culture also, and it's learned. But because of the learning, they see somebody different than what we see. The Chinese, they see him as the arch enemy, yeah, because all they want to do is destroy this devotion and this faith in the Tibetans, and them following him. So what is he? Is he the enemy? Is he a Buddha? Is he just a very nice person? Yeah. So from his side, he is whatever he is. But then from my side, he becomes how I see him. And this is how also we receive the Buddha's blessings when we start to study a bit about the qualities of a Buddha. Yeah, and we start to just this thing, you know. There is a mind, a being who can think, a being who has a mind that is only interested in my well-being. And this being, and there's not only one, it's not only Shakyamuni Buddha, because by practicing one attains awakening. Yeah? It's only that they don't say. You don't say, because, and it's a good thing that they don't say, because there could be so much, you know, like abuse, and you're not really a Buddha, but you're claiming to be a Buddha and whatever. So they say there's only always one historical Buddha when the teachings of the Buddha have disappeared. Because he's not the first one. So these teachings, they're impermanent like everything else. They stay for a while and then they disappear. This is why they say if you meet them, then practice as best as you can, because they will disappear. There will be periods where there is none of the Buddha's teachings. Why do they come back? Because there are Buddhas, innumerable Buddhas, Bodhisattvas who are already enlightened, or Bodhisattvas who are on a very high level. And it's not, sometimes in the earlier translations, you find it says a Bodhisattva is somebody who puts off his enlightenment in order not to go off into parinirvana. That wouldn't be the view of Mahayana Buddhism. That can be the view of Theravadan Buddhism, where like some schools say nirvana is you disappear. Like when you free yourself from being reborn under the control of karma and delusion, you disappear. Some texts say that, yeah. Whereas in the Mahayana teachings, you find that if you free yourself from all negative emotions, but because you have made a vow at the beginning of your practice to come back again and again and again and again until everybody is liberated, that vow or that energy, that force, makes you be reborn again and again and again and again, in whatever form is beneficial. And the fully awakened being can be reborn in many different forms. Can be a dog that appears in front of you so that you can have some kind of feelings in yourself. It can be a sick dog so that you generate compassion or something like that. Yeah, it can be a bridge, it can be a car. Yeah, and if you are in the Bodhicharyavatara study group, or if you know the text, you don't need to be in the study group. If you know the text, in the second chapter, Shantideva makes these aspirations. May I be a nurse, may I be a doctor, may I be a bridge, may I be food, may I be medicine, may I be a lamp, may I be a ship, whatever is of benefit, may I be that. And so if you generate these aspirations, then you don't need to think anymore, then you will automatically go there. So all we do with these written practices that we just recite is that we put things, informations in the mind that when they become strong enough, because they also need to ripen, when they become strong enough, then it becomes a tendency to reach out to others, or a tendency to just sit down and meditate, or whatever. It becomes a habit. Yeah, and definitely the habit or the tendency not to do things that would make your path even longer or more difficult. So this is why we do these prayers. They're called prayers, but this is why we say these things at the beginning of the practice. And it is to give the mind a clear direction, so that at least we're less confused of what we want, you know. Sometimes it's really good to sit down and to see, like, we always want something. Yeah, there's always this nervousness kind of looking for something. Have you noticed it now that you are in silence? Yeah. We can't just sit down and say, oh, nice. Yeah. Or if you just sit down and do nothing, at least then the mind, for a meditator, the mind goes and meditates. But that's just the beginning. Actually, when you go towards, when your meditation becomes very deep, then you're always in meditation. You don't need to put the mind on an object. Then you open up again, and then you call this Mahamudra, Dzogchen. Then everything becomes your meditation. Meditation in the sense of knowing what's going on. Meditation in the sense of kind of, you know, when they say the difference between me and the fully awakened being is a fully awakened being knows that he or she is sitting when it's sitting, knows that he or she is eating when it's eating, knows that he or she is walking when it's walking, you know. So they do exactly the same things as I do. The only difference is that they know directly, without needing any thoughts, yeah. So when we become aware of that, and when we see these aspirations of the bodhisattvas, and then a bodhisattva makes aspirations, a Buddha has these abilities because having had these aspirations, yeah? We need to know where we want to go, and this is why at the beginning of the practice, and we can say that together if you want, or you can just read it. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened. So you need to know what that means. You need to know what is refuge. Refuge means you have understood and you accept that this wish that we have for lasting happiness can only be fulfilled by practicing and developing love, compassion, and wisdom. That you will not attain this goal by killing all your enemies, you will not attain this goal by stealing all the possessions that exist in the world, by amassing them. You will not attain this goal by being only concentrated on your own happiness. This means kind of refuge. I trust the teachings of the Buddha. That's one aspect. The other aspect, and Kelsang Wangmoshi will go into that, is I want to get out of samsara. You see, if you're a Buddhist, you say, I'm a Buddhist, but I don't believe in rebirth and samsara, well, you know. Yeah, you can do it. You can do whatever you want. It's not that you insult the Buddha. It's not that you will create negative karma. I don't think so. It's just that that's not what refuge is. A refuge is a place that your mind will go when you don't feel well, and it will go into the Buddhist practice, and not to the fridge, and not to the mobile phone, unless you go, what is refuge? Then, okay. Yeah. Yeah, see, even the mobile phone is not always not a refuge. It can be a refuge. To see what I mean. So by repeating these things again and again and again and again, we get a feeling for it, and it becomes part of us. And then we start to behave like a Buddhist. Because one of the aspects of taking refuge is that you train. You're not able to do that from the beginning, but you train to stop harming others on purpose, or thinking they deserve it. We still harm others. Just by existing, we harm others. Yeah, we need food, we need drink, we need to walk, we need all kinds of things where other people, then other beings kind of suffer. Even you're a total vegan, beings suffer because your vegetables come from the ground, and the ground needs to be plowed. And in that ground there is insects, and by plowing they get cut into pieces. Do you ever think like this when you go like, oh, I'm a vegan? I also kill. Because of me, also insects get killed. All these things need to be transported. And you see, even, I don't want to go against veganism, I'm trying to be vegan because I also see how animals really suffer. But also then, like for example, now somebody put milk in my room, rice milk's perfect because that one is from Israel. But do you grow enough rice in Israel to make rice milk? Even if the milk is made in Israel? I doubt. So the rice needs to come from very far away. So we talk about global warming here with the transport. Yeah? Most of the vegan milk I see comes from Italy that is being sold here. Most of it. Yeah. The shop I go to in. So again, it's already packed. It needs to be transported. There's a lot of energy that goes into that, So I do think it's really good to be vegan, because the animals that we consume, either their eggs or their milk or their meat, they suffer too much. And if you would like to become a vegan and you have problems doing that, there are so many videos where your heart will cringe, and you will need a lot of courage just to watch it. And then you can think, I might be reborn in one of these states. And then you will have the ability to resist. Yeah, because me with the cheese, I have no problems, I don't like it. So that's good. Yeah. Before I had to say I don't like cheese, that made me always feel uncomfortable, because I'm fussy and I don't want to eat it. Whereas now I can say I'm trying to be a vegan, so then that sounds very noble. But it's, so the same thing. Whereas with the meat, and it lessens. The craving for meat lessens. Yeah, if you stop, but still sometimes I have it. And what helps me, you can find it on the internet also, I think. It's nothing that makes your heart cringe, but it's actually inspiring me. It's Mathieu Ricard, you know him. You know, many of you know him. He's a French monk who was a doctor in biology or something, and then very young age he left his career and he went to Bhutan. He met his teacher, Dilpa Rinpoche. He became a beautiful being. He's so humble, he's so normal. He's totally normal. He's not proud, he's so well known, but he's not proud, he doesn't demand anything. I remember at one point he was sitting amongst the nuns in Dharamsala, and somebody said, oh, you're a monk, you should go over there. And then somebody else said, you know who this is? And he left, he got up, he left, he went to sit over there. And then somebody said, you know who this is? Mathieu Ricard. Ah, really? Ooh, so like that. But he's not playing on his name and on his reputation at all. There's a picture of him where he's holding a goose. I don't know if anybody has seen it. And he's really holding the goose like a dog or a cat. And the goose is putting her long neck and her head on his head. And next to it is a kind of sign which says, be kind to the animals, don't eat them. And whenever I feel like eating meat, I visualize that. And then it's okay. No. So that helps me. It helps me more than these awful pictures, actually, in a way. So if you are trying to go in that direction, yeah, then take something that supports you in that. Yeah, because it's a good thing. It's a good thing not to exploit the animals, I think. Because we might end up as one of those if we really don't care at all. Yeah, so. But again, even if you are a vegan, you still damage the environment because you need to eat. Yeah. So then when we generate this motivation, I want to get out of samsara, I don't want to be reborn again and again and again and again, then at least, even if you choose to go into nirvana, never come back, it's a good thing. Because then the world doesn't have to feed you. Mother Earth doesn't have to feed you anymore. You're not upsetting anybody's peace of mind. So don't ever go that, oh, well, this is very selfish. No, it's a good thing. But then you can go one step further and you can think, I will develop all these qualities in my mind and then may others benefit from these qualities. You want to give something back. Yeah? But if you don't have this wish to escape from samsara, if you're not fed up to be under the control of karma and your negative emotions, yeah, then it's a bit of an illusion wanting to get others, kind of wanting to free others from these things. Yeah. But this is, that step of instinctively wanting to get out. I haven't made that step yet. It's still only here. It's here. Here it's very strong. Here, sometimes yes, sometimes no. But by saying that thing, as I said yesterday, when we read this thing, we go, oh yeah, okay, that's what I wanted to do. Yeah. So I go for refuge until I'm enlightened. As I said, going for refuge means you become a Buddhist, you stop harming others voluntarily. You will still do, and then people will criticize you, especially the non-Buddhists. They will say, oh, but you're a Buddhist. Have you ever encountered that saying? As if Buddhists are perfect, The Christians don't do that to each other. They never say, but hey, come on, you're a Christian. Shouldn't act like this. It is as if the Buddhists should be perfect. Well, we're not. We're trying. So then I usually say, yeah, I'm a Buddhist, but not a Buddha. But I'm trying, I'm training. Until I'm enlightened. So we know we want to go not disappear into nirvana, but to come back again and again and again until everybody is free from that suffering. So by repeating it again and again and again, your mind very slowly, but it goes to that direction. And your life will become more meaningful. You will feel better about yourself. If you fail, because as you are a Buddhist, you need to go to teachings, you need to think about them, you need to meditate on them as you go along, and you kind of goof up or you make mistakes in your practice, you don't feel so bad anymore because it's the habitual karmic results that are still coming back. So you don't judge yourself anymore. As you go along the way, you know how difficult this is. So you kind of develop that appreciation for yourself that you're still on this path because it is so slow and because it is so difficult. Yeah? So you're not developing self-hate because you're not able to do it, which you do at the beginning. Yeah? To the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. That means you need to know what they are. So this is the next A to Z course. By the accumulation of merits of practicing generosity and so forth, that means you become aware that you have to practice what is called the 6 perfections. Not to do them, but to practice them. Meaning whenever you have an occasion to be generous, whenever you have an occasion to be ethical, whenever you have an occasion to be, what else? Patience, of course. And enthusiasm, concentration, and wisdom. Those are what is called the 6 trainings of a bodhisattva. I think we should start calling them perfections because we're not perfect in them, but they are the trainings, This is what you train. Then the aspirations, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Why am I doing this? Not just for myself. This you repeat 3 times before the practices, before you start your meditation. It's not finished yet, you do more. Now people say, but I have so little time. I mean, doing this takes maybe 3 or 4 minutes. How many minutes are in a day? Many, yeah? Can we spare 5 minutes of those to warm up the mind, to feed the mind with something that then it becomes effortlessly as we go along? Like I can see people where their refuge is very, very strong. So immediately their mind, when there's a problem, goes into the Dharma methods. Or when they feel like they don't even feel like they don't even have to think, should I lie or should I not lie? They just go, no. Like kind of, what are you suggesting here? That I should lie? No, I won't lie. And they're not afraid of the consequences if they don't lie. Yeah? Do you see what I mean? So if you aspire to become like this, then this is for you. If you don't aspire to become like this, then of course not for you. If you think non-ethical conduct is okay when the situation needs to be non-ethical, then you will feel bad. Being a Buddhist, plus having this view that, yeah, but it's good sometimes to be non-ethical, because otherwise it's too expensive, or this and that. And it's true, And sometimes even as a Buddhist you choose to be non-ethical, but then at least you know that this is not a good thing. Yeah? As it said yesterday in these 5 points, did you see the last point in all 3 of them? Like, not caring that it's not ethical, that makes it really non-ethical. If you care, and you say, yeah, well, this is really not good what I'm doing here, then already some purification is happening, or the imprint is not so strong. Yeah. Now I flipped the page and I went somewhere where I didn't want to go, so I need to go for you forward, for me backwards. So what is it? When we flip pages, is it when we flip them like this, is it forward or is it backwards? Huh? For me it's backwards. For you it's forward. So what is it? It's neither. Really, from this side, backwards or forwards. Only from this side it's backwards or forwards. So maybe with the emptiness also, what can help you is that there is no objective, real existence. Yeah? The existence that we create is only subjective, from here. There is something there, but not what we see. I am the only one who sees it like that. Yeah, this is what we try to understand. Okay, then you open up your heart. This is the next step. When your heart is totally open, your meditation is much easier. Because when you're just concentrated on you, then your pain in the knee becomes huge. Your bored mind in the meditation becomes huge. You're not able to do what you set out to do, meaning staying on the breath, becomes big. Whereas when all beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. So we think of all beings and we try to encompass all beings. So we need to make your mind really big. And then you have space. And then your pain decreases. Or your view about yourself also, your ego decreases, because all of a sudden there's many, many, many other beings in your mind. Yeah? So that is loving kindness. May all beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. Yeah? And loving kindness is a very beautiful mind, although, it can make you lose your voice, as I just did before. Or it can bring tears to your eyes, and that might be a bit embarrassing because people think that you're a bit kind of strange. Yeah? But as you go along, and the loving kindness really, you feel it in your heart, then there is a sensation coming with it. And that sensation is very warm, and is very moving, and is very inspiring. But yeah, you can lose your voice, and it can bring tears to your eyes, what to do, before. I never cried. I never had tears in my eyes. It was like, yeah, okay,